Hello everyone, Michi here, your host and producer. Today I'm going to sit down and talk to Libby Tedder-Hughes. She's the founder of Resonate Coaching, and she helps business owners and visionary leaders dial down the inner critic. Build mental fitness. She helps business owners and visionary leaders dial down their inner critic, build mental fitness, and hear themselves clearly enough to make a real change. I want to learn how to do that. Well, Libby, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michi. It is truly an honor to be here. Happy,
Oh,
happy to be with you.
if you've listened to a couple of the episodes, you know what I'm going to do next. I always ask my guests, where in the world do we find you? And also, please describe yourself using only 3 words.
Okay, beautiful. So you find me today in Casper, Wyoming, in the mountain west of the
Mm.
United States of America. And my family and I have built out a beautiful life for ourselves where we anchor in this part of the world 9 months out of the year, and then we travel 3 months out of the year. So today I'm anchored in Casper, Wyoming. And let's see, 3 words to describe myself. I think those 3 words are curious, compassionate, and playful.
Full. Ooh, I like that. Is there a story to playful?
I think that that is a word that I have grown into more recently. I think that all of us start out playful because
Mm,
we're children, we're childlike, right?
mm.
And I've really enjoyed the inner work that I've done with myself, connected to entrepreneurship, connected to business, connected to who I want to be in the world lately, that has allowed that playful, silly side to come out where I get to connect with the freer version of myself. And
Mm.
so that's where playful is coming from currently. And I like getting to know that side of me.
Oh, I love that. To free that side of yourself. Yeah, we could use that more than ever, I think, to be more playful and it's not about not taking yourself so serious, but to really bring out that inner child in us that
Yes.
are innocent and beginner's mind, and the
Mm.
world is the oyster, right? So, yeah, curious, compassionate, and playful.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so we're going to talk about you and your business and how you came to be where you're at and where you're going next, so to say. So, but before becoming an entrepreneur, or have you always been an entrepreneur, by the way?
Yeah, this is a great question. So, entrepreneurship found me initially through nonprofit work that I was doing, became the founder and creator of a radically inclusive spiritual community in 2014. And that really had a very strong entrepreneurial flavor to it, although it was categorized in the nonprofit world. And at that point, my spouse had been in entrepreneurial work for about 2-ish years. So we both sort of landed in entrepreneurial spaces at the same time. And then about a decade later, after putting in tons of coaching and being coached work, mindset work, personal growth work, when the nonprofit that I had founded sunsetted, it was a very natural transition by that point for me to go into full-time business for myself in the for-profit world. So yeah, so entrepreneurship has honestly been a part of my adult career almost from the beginning.
Wow. Interesting. So, just so I understand where you're coming from. So you founded a nonprofit
Mhm.
2014.
That's
It
right.
okay, and then 2024, you started Resonate Coaching. Is that
Yes,
right?
yeah. And timeline doesn't matter. It was fall of 2023 that I went into full-time
Okay,
business for myself. Mhm.
okay, okay. So why Resonate Coaching?
So again, this is all woven together in my entrepreneurial exploration. So when I founded that nonprofit, I was required to receive coaching in order to receive grant funding. And when I
Uh-huh.
began to be coached, it changed my life because I had never received formal coaching before. Then within the network of the nonprofit that I founded, they invited me to become a coach within their network. So I was being coached and I was coaching. Then in
Mm.
2020, I had the chance to up my professional certification with the International Coach Federation. And when I did that, I was like, oh, I'm good at this.
Mm,
This is my sweet spot. I love this so much. And in 2021, I want to tell you a story about how the light bulb went on for how this
mm,
could become my business. That period of time, of course, was very dark for our planet and it was dark for our human
mhm,
family.
mm.
And I had a baby in 2020 and I had an incredibly dark postpartum experience.
Oh, I'm so
And in 2021, a friend of mine pointed me toward scholarship for coaches with an overarching company called Positive Intelligence. And I took that certification and Mishi, it changed my relationship to my brain. Here's what happened for me. I realized I could opt out of my inner critic, opt out of my inner bully, and when I had that recognition and that realization, it completely changed the way that I related to my brain. And so Resonate Coaching was born out of me experiencing the fact that I could relate to my brain with compassion. And
mm,
now I want to help every single client that comes through my doors.
mm.
I want to help them relate to themselves with courage, connection, and compassion.
Wow, that's a powerful story. And I'm sorry that you had to go through postpartum. It is a very difficult period and nothing to take lightly. At the same time, there is this, I'm fascinated by this, that deeply dark experiences can turn into, once you have gone through that, turn into something extraordinary positive. And as you said, once we get to know ourselves that well, it can change almost overnight or instantly how we function. So I'm happy to see and hear you here today, and still sorry that you had to go through that. So Resonate Coaching. So if you would describe to us your clients, your tribe, so say who are the ones that tends to work with you, who are they?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I absolutely adore working with fellow entrepreneurs, business owners, and visionary leaders because those are the three roles I've had in my life. So I love working with my tribe of people. Now,
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, business owners, and visionary leaders cover a wide gamut of industries, right?
Mhm.
So I've literally had experience working with law firm owners, concrete business owners, acupuncturists, yoga studio owners, all kinds of ranges full of people, real estate moguls. I've worked with all kinds of human beings across industries that have found me because what they find in me is a person who can help them identify where they are in their own way. So the average entrepreneur and business owner suffers from imposter syndrome, right? We're
Yeah.
out here slaying our jobs and our work, but internally that inner critic's voice is so loud that we're actually just faking it till we make it. So
Yes.
what I love doing is helping people tune into the sound of their genuine self and what they want out of their world, and then helping them fine tune the internal motivation with the external
Super.
action. I've also worked with those people's, management teams, and I've done a couple of contracts where I've actually worked with entire companies to take them
Okay.
through the positive intelligence model so that they have
Mhm.
the possibility of
Mhm.
every employee under the umbrella gets to hear themselves differently. But I love
Mhm.
working with those top dogs because I want them to turn down the inner critic.
Yeah. I mean, we have prior to our conversation, I was preparing and I noticed uh, sentence or kind of outlook. You use the phrase noise canceling headphones for the inner critic. And I found that so fascinating. But what does that look like for
Mhm.
your people in practice? How can we do that? What is it that we need to do in order to not hear that inner critic that can be so, so loud?
Yeah, great, great question. Yeah, that analogy has been really fun for me to play with in my marketing, of course, because it captures us. Because we all know, we all have a sense of the feeling of what it's like to have an incredibly noisy external world and to put on the noise canceling headphones and be like, you know? And so the goal then is to do the same thing with our internal world. So let me give you a simple analogy on that and then a little bit of neuroscience about how that works
Mhm.
in coaching with me. So Do you know that feeling when you approach a door that's a push-pull door and you're super familiar with this door, okay? And you approach the door and you push for 20 seconds and then you look down and the label says pull.
Yes, I think everyone has experienced that at least once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening there in the neuroscience of what just happened is that you are on autopilot, you are on automatic brain, and you're just trying to cross the threshold. You're just trying to get through the door. And then you look down and you're like, duh, it's a pull door, not a door. Okay. So neuroscientifically, we have two regions of our brain. We have the push part of our brain, which is it's where our survival brain lives. And we
Mm,
have the pull part of our brain, which is where our higher thinking, possibility, creative brain lives. Now, we are never going to take out our survival brain because if we did that, it would be a lobotomy and
mhm,
we wouldn't be able to live. We
mm,
are grateful for our survival brains. But what I do with my clients is I help them take back their agency over the push part of their brain so that
mm.
they have the ability to pull with their higher thinking, creative possibility brain and hear that brain before they hear their autopilot brain. Does this make sense?
It makes sense. And also, I'm very curious, how do you do that? Do you have a certain process that you were
Yes. Yes. So the system, the product that I offer my clients to begin with is called the Dial Down Daily
Mhm,
Coaching Container.
mhm,
And it is based in a system that met me in 2021, positive intelligence. So
mm,
I coach through the positive intelligence program and I become your mental fitness trainer. So just like you would go to the gym to learn how to bicep curl and learn how to leg pull and learn how to lat pull. When you don't know how to use your physical muscles, you need a trainer to help
mhm,
you build the muscle to do that. So in positive intelligence, I take you through app-based training where we learn, practice, train, learn, practice, train, learn,
mm,
practice, train on how to recognize your saboteur patterns,
mm,
turn them down, and turn
mm,
up your higher thinking creative brain.
mm, mm.
So it's an operating system that's rooted in cognitive behavioral science,
Yeah.
neuroscience, performance psychology, and positive psychology. It's rooted in all of that. And I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So as a coach, I come through that system and we use that operating system to download that into your brain so that
Mm,
you then know how to hear yourself again.
mm,
So
mm,
it's mental health adjacent, but mental
mm.
fitness coaching comes alongside and I become your trainer and I help you hear that again so that you can apply that to the big, bold things you're doing as an entrepreneur, a
Mm.
business owner, and a visionary leader.
So that certification then is trains all of the coaches how to do that and go through the process with their clients. What you get to do as the Resonate coaching coach is you put your personality and your language and your offerings and the positioning and the messaging as it suits you. How the
That is
how
it. Yeah, so it's like the yoga teacher who gets her
yeah.
certification and then
Mm,
teaches yoga at the studio, or
mhm,
it's like the weightlifting coach who gets
mhm,
their certification but then teaches you
mhm,
in their weightlifting gym.
mm.
I am the mental fitness coach who teaches you how to use your mental fitness to your benefit.
I'm curious. Okay, you built up this nonprofit, and that has its certain way of being, right? A nonprofit. You apply for grants, and you're out there networking a lot and trying to. I don't know what the nonprofit was, but then you moved into for profit, which is kind of different. So, what was the hardest thing for you to go do that transition? What has been the hardest thing for you so far
Yeah. Yeah,
around entrepreneurship?
I love that question. I had to unlearn what it meant to ask people to invest in me. Because prior to that, I was asking people to invest in a mission.
Mm,
Okay. Business says, I'm going to provide you value. And so in that transition, I had to unlearn all of the barriers that I had to making the ask and describing the value of how magical my work is in the world, and then letting people say yes or no to that.
yeah. I want people listening in to sit with that because I think it's more common that we might want to acknowledge at times that we really do have resistance against things, even if we're passionate about it, and we do. Because as an entrepreneur, as you're describing, you meet yourself with new situations not encountered before. It's very much uncertainty, at least at the beginning. Your first couple of years can be very, I don't know what I'm doing, imposter
Yes.
all over, constantly 24/7. That, yeah. So, how has that been today? If you look back at those
Mhm.
years, how do you
Yeah.
feel that sense of resistance? I guess you use your coaching method on yourself as well, and you have your own coach. Now, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Is
Thank
it
you for
still
that
hard?
question. I'm yes and no. I'm so proud of the Libby who got brave enough to put herself out there and
Mhm,
try and fail. Because
mhm,
what's an entrepreneur but a problem solver, right? An
mhm,
entrepreneur is like, I see a very specific problem that can be solved, and I know I can solve that problem. And so I knew in my heart of hearts, I can help people turn down the volume on their inner critic and hear themselves again. And then, just like you just said, I had to walk my walk and talk my talk in order
mhm,
to get there. So today in 2026, I'm firing on all cylinders. Like I am out
mhm,
here doing the work. I am changing people's lives. I am making a massive difference for human beings who need to stop faking it till they make it and just make it. Just
mhm,
do the thing. And so I'm really grateful to say that that inner critic still exists for me, but because I have walked my walk and talked my talk, she's way quieter than she used to be because I can hear my compassion again.
mhm.
So that self belief is pretty dang strong, Michi. I'm slaying this thing.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that. For me, I mean, to be skeptical and have critical thinking is one thing, and I think that is what we also need to have. But to be critical, self-sabotorial, as you talk about, that is not constructive business. And so you're a couple of years in. You've talked about wanting to reach 1 million human beings. So what are you building toward over the next 1 to 3 years? What are you envisioning for yourself and your business?
Yeah, such a powerful question. So, what I'm doing is I have founded something called the Skool to Noise Cancel the Inner Critic. It's on the Skool.com platform, which is
Mhm.
owned by a really incredible entrepreneur and his partner named Alex and Layla Hormozy. Some of you all might study or learn from them in various ways. They're a great couple out there slaying their big vision for the
Yeah.
world. So, the Skool to Noise Cancel the Inner Critic right now is two things. It is the vehicle for me to achieve my mission, and it is a funnel into my coaching business, right?
Mhm.
So, in the School to Noise Cancel the Inner Critic, I'm out here. There's a free membership level and a subscription level, and there is value. There is incredible value at both levels where humans can come in. At the free level, they can take it at their own pace, right? They can be like,
Mhm.
she's got something I want. What's that about? I'm going to go figure it out. At the subscription level, they can say, I'm ready to change. Let's go. I'm in. I'm
Mhm.
playing all in. And then from there, that's going to lead to coaching containers with me, whether they be mastermind group based coaching with me or whether they be one on one VIP relationship to me. So we're just out here getting it done. And that's going to be the vehicle. In 3 years' time, I want to be on a $2 million run rate in this business. And
Yeah.
I have mapped out a way for that to be possible based on number of clients at which ways they're investing and working with me. And that's the big, hairy, audacious goal. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to go impact a million lives and I'm going to be paid well while I do it.
And through this platform school.com and your program there, is that still the same type of client that you're targeting, so to say, that you want to be part of that community? Or do
Yeah, this
you
is a
want more different types of people coming in? You
Yeah,
see that?
great
Mhm.
question. I think that I am open to my clientele shifting if the right people at the right, what's this called? Qualified lead, right? At the
Yeah.
right qualification is ready to invest with me.
Yeah.
So I know what my work is valued at, and I'm going
Mhm.
to hold that standard. And so
Yeah.
if people come to me who are not business owners, entrepreneurs, and visionary leaders, but they want to invest that price point with me, then
Yeah.
come on in.
Yeah.
So I'm willing for that to shift in the next couple of years, but I also know that I have a particular sparkle and a particular capacity with that avatar. So
Mm.
it's like in the marketing funnel, the funnel is going to be wide at the top. And I'm not going to say no to the right clientele that's ready to change their lives.
But still, as you
Most,
said, wide at the top and really more focused and identified down there at the most narrow part. I see. So that is a very clear um, view and vision that you have. And as you, I think everyone can hear that you know the value of the transformation that you can provide and help your clients with. I know for many starting out, the price point is icky. It's hard because you have thoughts around what am I worth? And it's not about what you're worth. We're all priceless, right? It's just the transformation that you can offer and that you can bring to your clients, and that's separate from you as a human being. So, and what I hear is that you want to go more into one to many kind of thing as well, and still keeping the one to one coaching. So, what's the hardest for you in where you're at, moving from one-to-one coaching into a more scalable model, as we say?
yeah, excellent question. I think right now, the piece that feels the hardest is trusting that the scalability will actually free me up to be in my zone of genius. So it's just moving through that fear barrier, okay,
Mm,
of knowing that this is about scale of impact and scale of wealth. Both of those things matter to me. So
yeah.
scale of impact is I want to go change a million lives on this planet. I want a million human beings to be better because they interacted with my work. Scale of wealth says I can only do so many one-to-ones per week and I can only do so many one-to-ones, in a given year. And so I have to change the model to go big or go home. And one of the things that may or may not creep its way in here that I tested last year and it failed for a couple of different reasons, and that's okay, is using Skool.com and also using retreat model as one to many teaching and influence that then gets people access to the one to one packages with me beyond the retreat. So the hardest part, I think, is just telling scarcity mindset to take a hike and
Yeah.
telling abundance mindset, like stick to your instincts here. Like what you offer is life
Mhm.
changing. So give the one to many access to as many people as you possibly can through the teaching platform, and then allow those that are ready to invest, and let that lower part of the funnel be the thing that scales the wealth impact, the wealth creation.
Yeah. Oh, this is fascinating, I think, and inspiring. So, do you wrestle with the feeling and the idea that the one-to-many offer would not be as powerful as when you, because
Mm,
I perceive you as someone that is you're a very high touch coach for your clients, and that something has to give when you go from one to one and one to many. Is that something also that you think about, or you have gone through that kind of thinking and feeling circle of feeling it out the next step for
sure.
you?
Yeah, this is a really intuitive question for me about, is the power dissolved at the one to many level? The answer is yes and. Okay.
Mm,
So yes, it is dissolved, but the average person who is doing the kind of work that I offer, i.e., mental fitness, internal work,
mm,
I cannot help them until they want to be helped. That's a universal
mm,
principle.
it is.
So I can impact them, and I can come in with all of my big energy, power, ability to change, okay? But there has to be an alchemy there. There has to be a relational exchange for them to want to be changed. And ethically in coaching, I'm not consulting, mentoring,
Exactly.
or anything else. I am holding up a mirror that
Mm,
allows my coachee to reflect on their internal motivation and align their internal motivation with their external action. So I'm excellent at that. I am an actual wizard at that. And
mm,
love that it's a sweet spot for me. But
yeah.
so it's yes and. So at the one to many level, is the power does this what's that word? Lessened? Yes, it is. And I'm going to make them hungry for more. And
Yeah.
when they're ready
Mm,
to be helped and when they're ready to change, then they get
mm.
to choose that at their own rate.
Yeah, I hear. what you're saying. And I love the confidence that you express because we do need to have that confidence. Otherwise, we're going to second guess ourselves constantly. And that's not how you should run your business in that sense. But so, where do your client mainly find you?
There's 3 streams that people are currently finding me in, one of which needs to be strengthened. So
Hmm.
people find me from the lifetime value of a client and referrals. They find me from other people who've experienced me and are like, please go work with Libby. They find me from in-person hustle, market,
Okay.
sell, networking, getting my booty out there so that people know that I exist spaces. And they find me from organic social media marketing.
Mhm.
I'm everywhere. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Substack, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then the one that needs to be strengthened right now is eventually some sort of SEO strategy that moves from organic to targeted. And so that's weak in my business right now, but I'm on a learning curve and I'm on a the cash flow's got to match the
Mm.
marketing budget.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 mainstreams that people find me in right now.
And just as a curiosity, because as a coach and solopreneur, we have all these hats. We work in the business as well as on the business. So where you're at today, how would you present it wise way how much you work in the business that is having coachees that your clients
Mhm.
and how much time do you need to put in to working on the business with marketing, the posting, the networking, the outreach, the responding to people's comments, and that sort of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah. Right now, it's probably 40% in the business on the business, 60% in the business is
Okay.
my estimate. And I would really like to bring that down. I would especially love to bring that down by getting some to shift from completely solopreneur to virtual assistants and others in the business at
Mm.
some point this year.
Mhm.
Which is why the Skool to noise cancel the inner critic matters so much to the business plan because the funnel has been tricky to operate until now. So yeah, so I would say it's about 40-60 at the moment. And I would love to get that down. I would love to get working on the business down to about 25% if I can.
I'm asking because, yeah, we say that. Yeah, you work in the business and working on your business, and at some point you need to adjust that. If yeah, you need to take the always have the business owner hat on,
Mm.
but the Zone of Genius as coaches is the coaching. And okay. And if we have time for a little client story, because I know you had a client get 20 times the ROI from working
Mhm.
with you without disclosure problems. What do you think actually created that kind of shift?
I love this story so much. It gives me chills telling this story. Okay. So this client found me actually because they knew me in the nonprofit world prior to going into business for myself. And we happened to cross each other's paths one day. And he asked me, he said, what are you up to these days? What's this coaching thing about? I gave him the elevator pitch and he was like, well, I need you. When can we meet? This is a veteran in business. This is a person who has been in business for himself for literally 4+ decades, approaching retirement, but not quite there yet and came to me. We did one of the ways into the dial down daily experience with me is something that the positive intelligence company offers, which is called the saboteur assessment. So this assessment based in rooted in all of that psychology gives you a feedback assessment on your patterns for self-sabotage. So we did
Mhm.
that session and then he was sold. Then he was like, okay, what do we do? And he was working on a contract that he would have sold himself short on prior to working with me. And after working with me, he knew that the proposal that he needed to make in that business needed to be at a completely different price point. And what do you know? They accepted his proposal and off he went to make his millions. This is a multi-million dollar business owner. And that particular contract was 20% ROI because he worked with me, because he could hear himself clearly again and did not operate from self sabotage, inner judgment, and inner critic.
Yes, I agree. We're just, jaws down on my lap. Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats to you. Congrats to your clients. That is amazing.
May I read you? These are his words that he has given me permission to share. May I read them
Yeah.
to you?
Yes.
Okay. He says, working with Libby gave me the confidence and patience to face my problems that have plagued me for my entire working career of 45 plus years. I feel like I have been granted a superpower. When I didn't have the answers and I thought that nothing would change, I now know that it can and it does. I cannot thank Resonate Coaching enough.
That is so wonderful review and testimonial
You
and
can tell
proof
why
of,
that yeah.
yeah, proof of, to say concepts seems almost too small, but proof of how coaching actually changes lives.
Yes. And so you can tell why the confidence is so strong in the
Mm,
value that I provide, because I'm
mm.
not even kidding you. I have 30 more client testimonials like that.
It's also interesting because I think what that tells me and the listeners is that somehow we need to start with ourselves, inner self, and that is usually where we find our answers to whatever problems we feel we have in the external circumstances when it comes to our business and our lives.
Yeah, I agree. Wholeheartedly, I agree. And this is why my avatar is so special to me.
Yeah.
Because how often are we externally successful and internally stuck with our
Mhm.
own self-sabotage? How
Mhm.
often does that happen? There's
Mhm.
people out there making it rain, and they are being so cruel to themselves inside.
Yeah.
And the magic of what I get to do in my coaching is I get to help them make it rain while feeling genuinely compassionate and proud of their inner self.
Wow, this is truly, truly inspiring and hopeful and joyful. So, in general, then, how long would people work with you to arrive, not maybe 20 times their ROI, but the shift?
Yeah,
Because that
great
is the
question.
ultimate goal, right? The shift in them.
Yeah. So this is all based in the science of how we create habits, right? So plenty of people out there have done greater work than me on the habit work, and I just get to glean from their work in order to help others do this. A minimum container with me is 3 months. And so in that 3 months, we do an 8 week dial down intensive where we're working together every single week in a 1 hour training, but then we're backing that up with app-based learning and practice. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's like you go to the weightlifting gym an hour a week, but then you're doing the stretches at home and you're doing the reps at home before you come see me for that hour a week. And then in the third month, we sort of exit ramp you into your own habits. But depending on the client and depending on the needs, I have 3, 6, and 12-month containers. So folks can stay with me because of that lifetime value of the client. I have had multiple clients go through that initial 3 month life changer with me and then stay with me up to 3 and 4 years afterward for maintenance and support and clarification and all of the things. So I've had multiples stay with me longer, but the minimum shift is 3 months. And that's all about the fact that our brain wants to convince us that it's all or nothing, right? Our brain wants to convince us that everything has to change at once. And if it doesn't change today, then I'm never going to make it versus what we know about habits, which is when we shift our perception 1% at a time and we shift our action 1% at a time, in 3 months' time, we don't recognize the person who started the shift, right?
Yeah, this is really interesting. Reflecting back on myself and my own behavior and yeah, people around me, it's interesting. So you seem to have a good, solid business, and but I want to give you um a magic wand, right? If I could know whatever you wish for, so to say, where you are now to where you want to go, what's the first thing you would like to in that process to be solved?
Great. I know this immediately. Automation and staff support. Those two things need to be solved
Mm,
yesterday in order
mm,
for the scalability to take off.
yeah.
There's pieces of the business that are currently automated that need to be way more finely tuned. And I just need the staff support to come in and work on the back end with me in their zones of genius so that
Mm,
I am capable of being in the one to many and one to one platform without the energy sink of
The back end stuff.
admin,
Yeah.
yeah, admin
Yeah.
and finance and marketing and
Yeah.
social media and
Yeah.
content and blah, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da. Those 2
Yeah.
things are what I really need
Yeah.
yesterday.
You come, yeah, because you come across as someone who should be out there, so to say. But luckily, there are people who are brilliant at these, back end stuff, system, and keeping everything, in order. And you don't have to worry about that. And just as a closing little question for you. No, I have two questions. Right. I have two questions. So the first one, is do you think your background with the nonprofit has, um, your experience there is something that is unique to nonprofit, but you can, um, leverage and utilize in the pro profit business.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, yeah, it's absolutely leverageable, and I recognized that pretty early on because I was starting something brand new. So, anything I think that the business world and the nonprofit world are completely cross-pollinate each other if we allow them to, because there are basic principles to how to run a successful business that absolutely apply to nonprofit organizations and missions. And if you're in the entrepreneurial space where you're starting something new and it's never been done before, but you're solving a problem, then that cross-pollination, whether it's in for-profit or nonprofit, is going to speak to each other. And so I have absolutely leveraged so many lessons from the nonprofit
mm,
world into my business world and my for-profit world. And thanks again to being very determined to be a person who was committed to growth mindset and professional development
mm.
and entrepreneurial skill building and all of the things.
Yeah. And now then to the closing question. Is there anything about how you see entrepreneurship and your experiences and where you want to go that I haven't asked you, but you think would be a piece of wisdom and golden nugget for the audience to hear?
Yeah, that's great. I think what comes to mind for me here is sort of speaking to the heart of other entrepreneurs and or coaches that are looking to scale their impact, which is hard-won embodied wisdom that I have had to go excavate for myself. And that's this: do yourself a favor and do yourself the honor of creating a strong mental fitness practice, a strong mindset that helps you to hear what you want, why you want it, and how you can go get it. Because if you cannot hear that, then you are going to spend your life, your business, your entrepreneurial energy on the ends of a strings that somebody else pulls, specifically your inner critic, specifically your inner judge, not your true self. So if you're looking for scalability, go pay attention to your mental fitness and your mindset. Do yourself that honor so that you end up on your deathbed proud of what you created out of your pure intention.
Oh, that is a beautiful, beautiful end note. Yes, we all should, write that down and have it all over our home, our place, wherever. So we keep reminding ourselves about that. Libby, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for this conversation. And before we wrap up, where can people reach out to you, learn about what you're doing? What's the best URL for us?
Yeah, absolutely. The best URL is libbyketterhughes.link,
Mhm.
libbyketterhughes.link. And you will have that, I'm sure, in show notes and other places as well. But that has all of the branches out into my
Mhm.
world. So
Mhm.
social
It's a link.
media, yeah, the Skool to noise cancel the inner critic, my website, all of the things are there. But I would also say specifically, if you go there and you are a person who really wants to start doing this work, please join the Skool. It's free, it's risk-free, it's the membership is there and it's all completely self-paced. So if you're even a little bit curious about that, come join the Skool to noise cancel the inner critic.
Yes, I suspect several will join after this, and we will have that link for sure in the show notes, as you said, Livy. Again, thank you so much for coming. It's been enlightening, inspiring, and hopeful in this a bit of a messy world we find ourselves in at the moment.
Mm.
So, and I'm rooting for you. I believe you will accomplish what you aim for.
Thank
Let
you
us
for
know.
of course. Thank you for the chance to be here today. And I couldn't ask for more. If we're leaving feeling inspired and hopeful, that's all we need.
And to you, dear listeners, thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you next time with another conversation, another entrepreneur. And meanwhile, stay curious and keep building on your business. And as Libby said, make yourself the favor and honor and really find out what you want, how you want it, and your why. Bye.
That's it for this episode of Making It. Thanks for watching or listening. I'm Danny Iny, the founder and CEO of Mirasee. We help coaches, consultants, and creators monetize their gifts. So if you think your expertise should be driving more income than it is, we help you bridge that gap. We do this because we believe ethical and impactful businesses can change the world for the better. This show helps you do exactly that. And if you want to learn even more, you can check out our business education programs and online community at mirasee.com.